exciting week. I'm not 3 games to realise the goal that you now have of third place.
Very much so. 3, we've talked about them all being cup finals, and they all very much still are. Very tough one this weekend. Also the 4th time we'll be making the trip across the M8 to Parkhead, which is never an easy trip to make, but one that the players are looking forward to, in a good place. And as you've already touched on there, we've got absolutely everything to play for. So massive week in Scottish football.
All of these teams that are going for that place, they've all got these difficult games. How much does that mean, your 3-point cushion that you have there, how important does that make it, knowing that it's your Aberdeen and Dundee United who are trying to catch you, but they've got to play against each other, against the old firm as well? Yeah,
that's the beauty of the split, when everyone's got so much to play for and everyone's still in contention, that there's always going to be twists and turns. You asked there about the benefits of the 3 points that we've got. What it's done is it's gave us the opportunity for it to be in our hands, which is great. And it's entirely up to what we can do. And if we can control the controllables from our end, then it doesn't matter what anybody else does. If we can do that, that's fantastic, because that's the way you want it to be. You don't want to have to rely on results elsewhere. But we know they're going to be difficult games. As I've just touched on, the hardest game in the fixture list is this weekend for us. But at the same time, everybody has to play everyone. So it's it's not as if we've been hard done by it all. It's just the way it goes. And I think, as I've said, 3 massive games to go.
How much do you keep an eye on what happens in the other games? What's happening with the other teams on these match days?
Not during the game, certainly not. I think, I'm not be lying if I say I didn't quickly check the results after. Once you find out your result, and what's happened a lot for large spells this season is when a team wins, everybody wins, and I think that just shows the nature of the league and how tight it is. And as I already said numerous times now about the run we had to go on to give ourselves a chance, but we're still so tight even though we went on such a good run, which shows you the consistency and the challenge it still faces everyone.
Did you feel the guys were getting close to Celtic when you last went there in the cup?
I don't see you getting close. I think one thing I do think is the players take more confidence and belief every time you go. You get a bit more familiar with what you're going into, but it doesn't make the challenge any easier. You know, Celtic are the champions of Scotland for a reason. They've won the league by a large margin this season. They've been the best team, so the challenge is going to be there for the players. But it's one that I say to them every time, that's a brilliant test and a brilliant challenge for them. It's the games you want to be involved in and test yourself against top Champions League players. So I think from that point of view, it's a brilliant test for me as well. Test myself against a world-class manager. He's managing the Premier League in England and everything that comes with that. So all these things are what you want. You want to be tested, and if you can go there, and history tells you it's a difficult place to go. 2010 was the last time we won there in the league, so that goes against us. But it's something that we've been constantly challenging the group with, and it's something that the players are, would like to change this weekend.
Pressure's off Celtic in the league. The league's done and dusted. Their final derby out of the way, and it's always a bit of a party atmosphere when you're in that situation. Does it change the dynamics of the way that you think the approach that Celtic?
I don't think so, because I think they're chasing the treble, which is something that I'm sure all the players will want to be going into that, feeling as fit as they can. But regardless of whatever team was put out from Celtic, I know you've said they've clinched the league, and they have, but they're still under pressure to try and win games of football all the time. That's the demands of the football club. But also the players will want to impress and try and get in that team for the cup final. And I think regardless of who plays, it's going to be a top player that's coming in, and it'll be a really strong side, which is why they've been the best team in the league, because of the strength and depth they've got.
Do you players enjoy going to Celtic Park? Games like this where the expectation's low, but they've accumulated so much confidence over these last 4
I think they should look forward to it. I think the one thing I always say is you need to believe you can go and do it as well. So in any given game, any one-off game, anything can happen. You've seen that happens every single weekend in certain games where the underdog can win. We'll certainly be going into the game as underdogs, but you see the belief in the football club. Even for the cup game you talked about, the last time we played there, we had 7,000 supporters going through believing we could do that. So we're definitely going into the game with everything to play for from our point of view, the importance of the game, with a game plan to try and win the game because of what we need to try and do this season. But it'll be a difficult game, we know that, and every single player is going to have to be at the very top of their game for us to get a positive result.
Very good flurry of getting players tied down on contracts for next season. Martin Boyle is one that still has that question mark. Where do you think Martin Boyle will be playing next season? Would it be Easter Road?
I think, as I've said for a few weeks now, there's been real positive chats with all the players, and Martin's one of them. There's been a lot of positive conversations about futures, and we think the club can go next season and everything else that comes with that. And right now he's fully focused on playing, and my job is to make sure you get the best out of him all the time. So I'm delighted with where he is, mentally, where he is with his performance levels. And as I say, we've got a week to go to the end of the season, and I'm sure everything will be unveiled after that.
Just how happy are you with the performances that the man has put in this season? Because there's this chatter basically every window about Martin Boyle go, and I guess it's a little different with the contract situation this time around, but just the level of performance he's managed to give you this.
It's just the consistency with it as well. He probably, I know he sometimes gets overlooked or not talked about too much because people see the personality side to him or don't think he's serious because he likes a laugh and a joke or whatever, but I've said many times, very professional in terms of how he goes about his business when he does work. He's been very consistent affecting games of football at this level for a number of years, and I think, I don't know exactly what the number is, it's 27 goal involvements or whatever he's had this season, which is some return. Obviously had a bit of a slow start to the season with a wee bit of an injury and playing through that, but I also think he's massively matured as well with the extra responsibility this season. He's took that on board really well, and I'm seeing that in his performances right now. I think his output, his level of commitment, and especially off the ball stuff, which is not something that all the fans will always see all the time, but certainly something that the rest of the teammates are appreciating, and I certainly appreciate it from the side of the pitch because it starts right for the very front, and everybody will always talk about how he can affect it from the way he goes forward with his goals and assists, and obviously his pace on the break and playing on that last line is obviously hard to play against.
You hope he stays?
I'd like him to stay. Yeah, I think he's been fantastic. This is going into his 10th season as well, so that's another thing as well for Boyle. He's delivered for this football club for a number of years, and I think he's done really well. And as I say, there's been a lot of positive conversations, and they'll be continuing just now. But there's only 1 week to go with 3 games, and our full focus now is to make sure I get the best out of Martin Boyle for 3 games.